All right, so Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're going to continue our
Shalom.
classes. Let me get us going here. What is our prayer? It's Baruch Atah Adonai
אתה אדוני
Eloheinu
אלוהינו
melech
מלך
haolam
העולם
asher
אשר
kidshanu
קידשנו
b'mitzvotav
במצוותיו
v'tzivanu
וציוונו
la'asok
לעסוק
b'divrei
בדברי תורה.
Torah. And we finished, as I understand it from Sylvia last time, we're at the point where things are really happening. The king, meaning, of course, King Achashverosh. Uh, oh, what am I talking about? No wonder
I
I'm
know.
not Esther,
This is like a
Ecclesiastes.
significant deja vu.
Uh,
I was,
yeah, it's like, why are we back here? Because I knew. So then all of a sudden I panicked and thought, well, why haven't I been teaching all about the Greek parts? And then, of course, totally confused. Okay. So last time we met, which I don't know how long ago it was, we just as a let's do a quick summary of chapter 5. Keep your mouth from being rash, and let not your throat be quick to bring forth speech before God, for God is in heaven and you are on earth. That is why your words should be few, right? And then just as dreams, it's funny, I don't fully remember us doing this. It's been so long. Uh, just as dreams come with much brooding, so does foolish utterance come with much speech. So it's sort of the old saying, "Emor ma'at v'aseh harbeh," say a little and do a lot. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to fulfill it, for God has no pleasure in fools. What you vow, fulfill. Little wisdom literature thrown into this, and again, we can see a little bit of the basis for the idea that this is part of the wisdom literature tradition. Um, Better is one who makes an oath is not to make an oath than one who makes an oath that doesn't promise, that doesn't fulfill the oath. And then do not let your mouth. So this is all about how our verbal engagement needs to be aligned with our values. Don't let your mouth bring you into disfavor, and don't plead before the messenger that it was an error, but fear God, else God may be angered by your talk and destroy your possessions. Okay, and that's where we left off, Sylvia, you think?
Hold on, I zoned out. Not 100% there. Okay, yeah, 5, 6. For through the multitude of dreams and vanities are also many words, but fear thou God.
Okay. Here, Barov Halomot, Habalim, Udvarim, Harbeh, Ki et Elohim Yerah. Or with many dreams, or with much dreaming, um, there's futility. There's however we want to translate Havalim. There's mist. There's ephemerality, and many words, because God. Oh, right. And this is where the words are all scrambled. And verse 5 has the translation, Ki et ha-Elohim Yirah is up above, but fear God. Right. So I remember this now. The translation is very strange because it doesn't make sense the way it's written. And so if you patch part of verse 6 into the translation of 5, then it starts to make sense in this translation, at least. Okay. That's where we left off. Okay, Kitty. Im Oshek Rash, the Gozel, Mishpat V'Tzedek, Tir, Bamdina, Al Titma, Al HaChefetz, Ki Gavoa, Me'al Gavoa, Shomer, Ugvohim Alehem. You don't want to be in my arms? Okay, you can go. So this is an interesting one. I would love to see how people's translations do this. If you see in a province, oppression of the poor, so that's Oshek Rosh, right? if there is oppressing of Rash, which they translate here as the poor. Though that I don't know that that's a common translation. And thievery, the gezel, is like stealing. Mishpat vatzedek. So it's the gezel of mishpat vatzedek, of the stealing or the thievery of justice and justice, or forms of justice, right and justice. You will see Bamdina, if you see these things in the land, al titmah al hachefetz. Do not be puzzled on the. I translate it as on the desire. Chefetz is desire.
I think it can be desire and it could be thing, like a thing,
Uh-huh. So
like an item, like an
so
item.
how do people translate it? Because I'm tempted to translate it as desire because people desire to oppress the poor, and don't be puzzled by that because it's somehow a human nature. And in fact, the context keeps going. Ki gavoa me al gavoa, because because a high one is upon the higher one. Shomer guards the higher one. I guess it would be like a high level official guards over or protects another high level official. Ugvohim alehem, and there are even higher than them. I think it's about the machine. Does that sound right to you, Avital?
You think it's about the what? I'm sorry.
About the machine, that oppression is part of the dirtiness of this world. What do we have for translation? Sylvia, do you have a translation?
Yes. If thou seest the oppression of the poor and the violent perverting of justice and righteousness in the state, marvel not at the matter, for one higher than the high watcheth, and there are higher than they.
They are higher than they?
Wait, for one higher than the high watcheth, and there are higher than they. Than they, the one higher, meaning. Boy, let me start over.
Are any of those hires capitalized in your
No,
translation?
no, they are not.
Okay.
Do you want to hear it again, or should we
Yeah,
just?
please.
Oh, if thou seest the oppression of the poor and the violent perverting of justice and righteousness in the state, marvel not at the matter, for one higher than the high watcheth, and there are higher than they. So, in other words, if you see all this oppression, this is what I'm saying. Don't be surprised, don't worry about it, but there's someone higher than that, higher than the oppressor, is what I'm saying. But no, they are not capitalized.
They're not what?
The high is not capitalized.
Capitalist. Oh no,
Capitalized.
capitalized.
I thought you asked me if there was a capital
Yes,
H.
yeah. No, it's capitalized, not capitalist. That's really funny because it's like that classic scene in Fiddler on the Roof where what's the guy's name who tells the child, the young girl, the story of Jacob and Laban, and of course he's a communist, so he explains it as exploitation of the workers. You know, it's like it's in the eye of the beholder how you translate these things. And so anyway, so it is not capitalized, but I don't think it's referring to any divine intervention or anything like that. There's higher and higher, meaning there's all this power structure, right?
Right. So if some say your boss is oppressing, well, that boss has a boss that's oppressing him, and he has
Right,
a boss, that kind of thing. So yeah, what goes around comes around kind of thing.
right, right. And then Rashi does a whole bunch of, somehow God is involved.
Well, I think somebody's watching the boss, like the city mayor watches the businesses, and the province watches the city, right? Like there's always somebody higher, and above all of them is God.
Well, that's what this Rashi says. Sort of. Actually, no, not as much. I thought it did. But somehow it's part of a plan, is what he's saying. I think. Because do not be astonished, do not be puzzled. It's really puzzled. Timha is like baffled. Don't be baffled. So anyway. Okay. Okay. Any other comments on this?
I would just say, the translation in the copy that we see on our screen, they call the word chefetz fact, but I think it's either desire, like you said, that it could be, or it is item. I don't think chefetz is a fact. Fact is uvda.
Yeah.
So it's a
Don't
tough
wonder
one,
why the fact
evidently.
is the yeah, see it's a typical JPS translation here. This is JPS, I think. So then let's look at the old JPS. Marvel not at the matter. That's along the lines with what you were saying about the thing.
Item, yeah.
And then there's this one. This one is just a terrible translation, but nice poetry. Okay, and then by Heitler, who I don't know who he is. Do not wonder at the purpose. Also peculiar in my mind. None of
Yeah.
them say by the desire. The fact, uh, Gerechtigkeit in einem Land sich. No, I don't
Maybe
know.
they say desire.
Yeah, no, no. And then my Esperanto is a little sloppy right now, so I'm going to skip that one. Anyway, oh, here's a translation into Hebrew. Al titmah al ritzon Hashem. Do not be baffled by the will of God. So this is someone's
So Atzon and Chefetz and desire kind of all go along that line.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. Here, let's just look at this for a second. What happens when you translate? Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Maybe I'll stick in the JPS 1917. It always seems to be the best. Well, it's also Old English. Here, I'll go back to 1985. Okay, let's keep going. Vitron Eretz. Da, 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 da. Vitron. Vitron Er. Da, 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 no. How does it go now? And now I'm singing it as Esther scroll. Um, right, I sing the other one as Esther scroll as well. I'm so confused right now. I'm Team Ha. Um, uh, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to read it because my brain is not operating well. Vitron eretz bakolhu, and the purpose of the land in everything is. The greatest, oh, right, the Yitron, the greatest advantage they translated as. That's interesting. But it's really like the 1917 says, the profit of the land, or the purpose of the land, um, is king of the field is served. That's a terrible translation on my part. Thus, the greatest advantage in all the land is his. He controls a field that is cultivated. So above all, so it is that Melech Malchei Hamlachim idea. The king of kings, the top, has control. Oh, the high official profits from the labor of others, but meaning averse, uncertain. So it's not just me that's confused. Comments?
I mean, they're highlighting agriculture and working the land, which I kind of like. You know, and there were times where Jews were not allowed to own land in Europe.
Yeah, but that's what, 1,000 years after this was written.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that this gives high priority to having fields.
Uh-huh.
It's the greatest advantage is to have fields that are worked.
Yeah, who profits from the means of production? Right? It's kind of this idea. It is actually about capitalism in a way. Like, who owns the biggest hotel on the monopoly board? God. Who owns the land? Because it says, haaretz v'chol, what is it? Ki malah haaretz. All is God's, right? The earth is the Lord's. It says in the prophets. So
Well, also, I mean, no matter how great a king, still that king is servant to the field. We all, no matter who we are, we need food. So we are all dependent on things growing and dependent on agriculture, regardless of our status in life. So it's kind of an equalizer.
right, we can't escape our mortality, not even if we're the most powerful person on the planet. We have to maintain some humility. Okay, verse 9. Ohev kesef, lo yispa kesef, umi ohev behamon hu tvua, gam zeh havel. A lover of silver, literally, or money, um, will not be satisfied, will not be the satisfied one of money. In other words, will never be satiated. And one who loves the 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 fullness, the hamon is like
Lots. I think Hamon is
many.
like lots of
Yeah,
stuff.
the hamon is like sometimes it means the multitudes.
Yeah. So lots of stuff.
One who loves the amassment, the amassing, um, lo tvua. I don't know. But
They
basically,
translated that they won't get his fill either.
Yeah, this one says this also is vanity. But when it was said, the love's abundance with increase.
say that again, Irvin.
Where it said the love's abundance with increase, this also is vanity.
Tvua is a product, right? Isn't that the word for product?
Tvua can be like the
Output,
no, like the wheat harvest, like
the yield.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm saying. Lo tvua is not, yeah. It's a strange articulation again. All right, well, let's keep going.
Bottom line is that is also futile.
Yes. Yeah,
Also,
Gamze Havel. Let's not forget. Basically, I think we all get the gist of it. Amassing wealth is kind of dumb. That's kind of what it's saying.
Or
Or actually,
I don't think it's
not
saying
the
that.
amassment of the wealth, but rather the thirst for the wealth is kind of futile.
It's saying the ones that love it and that's what they want to be satiated with it, but it'll never be.
I mean, we know a lot of people in the world are like this. They always, more, more, more. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I need some more because I love it so much. I can't have enough of it. And so this is an anti-materialist sort of.
No, I wouldn't say
Right.
anti-materialist at all. What it's saying is,
Absolutely.
no, it's saying overabundance. It's saying, way too much.
It doesn't. So it says one who loves money will not be satisfied with money.
Right.
So it's that thirst for abundance that will never be satisfied.
Yeah, I think they mean the overabundance, the can't be satiated with having more money, etc.
You can never have enough.
Yeah, that is hevel.
Yeah. It's a disease of the mind, you know? I mean, the rabbis were very clear about that. That's the whole subtext of this whole book. We're talking about the richest man in the world being unhappy.
Well, of course. That's saying if that's what you're striving for, is that you're not going to be happy because that doesn't bring happiness.
Right. Exactly.
Being grateful for what you have is what makes you happy.
Right. And we have that from Pirkei Avot, right? Ezehu Ashir, who is rich, Hasamech Bechelko, one who is happy with their portion.
There you go.
Yeah.
And well, the other side of it is, you don't just stop striving, you know.
Yeah. But that's not the focus of this particular piece. I mean,
Right.
I guess what he's trying to, he's basically, the writer is basically saying all of these pursuits that we have in our culture, in our society, are nothing but hevel, including, I mean, he's kind of said this idea before, much earlier. I assume it's a he. Um,
Well,
like
even about learning, he says it.
yeah, yeah. I tried this, but it turns out it was hevel. I tried that, but it too was hevel. You know, nothing is really solid to hold on to. This is why people call this book kind of pessimistic because, what are you supposed to do if nothing is satisfying? But we've had flashes of what it means, and it's to be a servant of God. So, but we'll hopefully see more of that as we keep going. All right, shall we keep going?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Birvot hatova rabu ochleha. With the increase of goodness and they translate as substance, so do those who consume it. Right. Oh, birvot hatova with the growth or the increase of goodness comes an increase in its consumers. Ma kishron leva'aleha. What ki im re'ut einav. What then does the success of its owner amount to but feasting his eyes? What is the how do they translate that in some of these? What is the advantage? Yeah, what is the advantage for its owner if it's they have feasting his eyes? That's an interesting way to say it. But it's beholding, right? Is how the 1917 does it, and I agree with that. Looking with his eyes. If he's looking with his eyes at this process, I guess. Thoughts?
Maybe with the whole idea that everything is hevel, then just feasting his eyes, just looking at it is good enough because eating or having more, all of that is futile.
Yeah. Okay, Kat, you're not going to eat my necklace. Speaking of eating. Yeah. Okay. He's like, he's kind of like watching this way of the world. And I mean, it reminds me of Bugs Bunny, you know? Is this trip really necessary? Remember when Bugs Bunny would say, is this trip really necessary? Maybe that's
No, I
my
don't remember
brain.
that.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember it
No.
either.
I'm gonna
But
have,
somehow, the final line in Dorothy Parker's poem, on suicide, she says, "You might as well live," because it's like gas smells, razors hurt, drugs cause cramping, blah, blah, blah. And at the very, it rhymes when she does it. Very end, she says, "Well, you might as well live." So you strive for this, you strive for that. Might as well just live day to day.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, all the angst. Is it really so great?
I don't quite follow this line at all.
Well, as I read it, he's saying, the more I think it goes a little bit also to what we learned from Hillel the Elder, who says, the more flesh, the more worms.
Well, yeah, that I understand. And the more stuff you own, it owns you.
Right. So what do you not understand?
Well, when it says, when goods increase, so do those increase who eat them.
Right, or devour it, you know.
And what profit is there to the owners except seeing them with their eyes?
Yep.
I'm just not quite
Sorry
following it.
about that. My cat decided to lay down on the keyboard. This cat is really something. Okay, hold on a second, everybody. Oh man. Okay, hold on. I need to. Come on. Sorry. This is getting a little crazy, but that's the way cats are. I just need to find the tab. I can't remember where it was. It's one of these. There we go.
That's weird. When goods increase, they are increased that eat them makes me really think of kind of nature more, I'm trying to think how to so
Oh,
there's
like
the
maggots.
no, like if there's good rain and the grass grows, there's more deer living off of that grass and they
Oh,
have more babies. And so I don't know
well,
what you
that.
call that, the balance of nature or and then a bad year um, there's less deer and
Right.
less babies.
That's true. I guess of all organisms, the more food there is, the more there is for creatures to nourish themselves on. Whether we are, I said maggots, but I guess we could try a nicer species than
Yes,
maggots.
something that you actually like spotting from your window on a nice day.
Yeah, I mean, I
Not
guess
maggots.
I guess I was quoting the Hillel quote about more flesh, more worms, but I think it's
Right,
all the
right.
same thing, Yeah. The, it's funny because when I first read this first word, birvot, which means an increase, I read it as brachot, you know, like more blessings or goodness. Blessings bring about more consumers, but no, it's uh, as there's more goodness in the world. I think you're
Which
reading.
is a blessing. I mean, it actually, even though that's not the word, that's the when you have more goodness, that's a blessing.
Yes, definitely, absolutely. All right, let's go to verse 11. Metukash, not ha'oved. God, I wish I could get the melody back, but I can't. Metukash, not ha'oved. Um, Im ma'at ve'im harbe yochel. The sweetness of the sleep of a worker, whether a little or a lot, that he ate. Oh, if very little, a worker's sleep is sweet, whether he has much or little to eat. Okay, Yochel, yeah. V'hasava, and the one who is le'ashir, eineno maniach lo lishon. But oh yes, but the satisfaction of the rich person, um, he's not able to sleep.
Doesn't let you sleep.
Yes,
Doesn't let him sleep.
right. So the richer you are, the more stress you have.
Well, that makes me think, Jonathan, of when we were kids and you would say, indigestion. Do you remember that?
That was an ad. Yeah, it was a Pepto-Bismol ad. And they showed the belly kind of, going in a crazy way. Yeah, that's funny.
Okay. I think you're curing my migraine. This is funny.
Okay,
Laughter is good for the health.
yes. Okay. Well, again, similar kind of thing here. It's an anti-wealth kind of statement here, or more like a statement of how wealth just is not all that it's said to be.
I think it says that the person that's working, so laboring, when they sleep, it's sweet for them. But somebody who's worried about their finances is that doesn't let him sleep, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
But after physical labor, we really enjoy sleeping.
Right. Yeah. It's an interesting question about how sleep quality works for people who have, it is true. Stress is really hard on sleep, and maybe a rich person is afraid of losing more than a poor person or a worker, because the worker just
I
has
think
their
the
job.
worker, I'm not sure if they're saying that workers don't have stress, but I think they're saying if you work hard, your sleep is sweet to you. You sleep better.
Yeah, I think only
Like, work hard.
contextually can you make that jump, right? To the idea that, a worker is having a better time of sleep than a rich person. I think that's more.
It says it's sweet sleep. It says so.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I love that it says mituka. It says sweet. Okay. Verse 12. Yesh ra'achola ra'iti tachat hashamesh. Somehow it came back to me. There we go. Yesh ra'achola. There is ill badness. Grave evil.
They say grave evil. That sounds good.
Yeah, that works. There is grave evil, ra'iti tachat hashamesh, that I have seen under the sun. Osher shamur liv alav l'ra'ato. Wealth, riches hoarded by their owner to his misfortune, and then it keeps going. Ve'avad ha'osher hahu binyan ra. Here's a grave evil I have observed on the sun. Riches hoarded by their owner to his misfortune, in that those riches are lost in some unlucky venture. And if he begets a son, he has nothing in hand. Wah, wah. So in other words, there can be a reversal of fortune. Is that kind of what they're saying here?
Yeah.
Boy, my translation has so many more words.
Read it, please, because
Okay.
this is really challenging.
There is a grievous evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept by the owner thereof to his hurt, and those riches perish by evil adventure. And if he hath begotten a son, there is nothing in his hand.
So those riches perish by evil adventure. And the doing and lost is the wealth with bad man matters. That's
Now
how
mine doesn't say evil ventures. Mine is an unfortunate venture.
Hmm.
Perish in an unfortunate venture. Easy come, easy go.
yeah, that's interesting. The Inyan Ra. I wonder what Rashi has to say about that.
I think Binyan Ra is like a bad deal.
Yeah. He doesn't comment on it.
Come on, Rashi.
Come on, dude. Let's see if
We
even
need
Ezra has
this.
something to say. The Inyan Ra. Shehevi al Ba'alav, that he brought upon his owner V'ha'inyan Elah Elu. No.
Elav. Maybe it's
Elav.
Elav.
V'ha'inyan Elav Avad Levado.
Levado.
Below Holid Ra Haya Hachetzi Ra.
That doesn't make sense either.
I don't know.
To me.
Rashi's, I mean, even Ezra is always hard. So is having this cat around. Okay. Well, anyway, the reason it's longer, Sylvia, is that it's 2 verses, what we just did. I think that's why.
Yeah, you did you did
Yeah,
12
we
and
did.
13, and I did 12 and 13, but
Yes.
it's like, what was that line? Too many notes, too many words.
Yeah. So
And if he
reversal
hath,
of fortune seems to be the theme, right? I think we would agree with that.
Yeah.
and if he hath begotten a son, there is nothing in his hand. That is, his son takes it all.
No, it's
No,
as a result of having lost his fortune.
But
I think it
okay.
means he doesn't have anything to give him.
Oh, okay.
No
Oh.
inheritance to the son.
Okay, got it. It's just things are sort of written backwards and upside down. It's yeah. Okay.
So I've seen this terrible thing happen to people. Rich people hoard their wealth and then they lose their whole fortune, but they had a kid and then the kid has nothing. So in other words, there's nothing, everything is Hevel. I mean, this is an embodiment of the idea of Hevel. There's no point, is kind of what he's saying. You can't really assume that just because you have amassed a fortune that it will be there for your descendants. I mean,
And it seems like this was a really real thing. People would have ships, they were merchants, and the ship would go down, and that would be it. And that was part of what I read about why these societies would have, the charitable organizations, so that, you're rich this week, your ship goes down, now you're receiving charity, and then, you go up in the world, you give charity. There was a real up and down, historically.
uh-huh. Yeah. Right. Well, I would say all sorts of very hard left statements right now, but I'm not going to.
And these were societies, Jews were very separate. They created all these, like the burial society, and for the people who couldn't afford it, and all these things, this little community living, I mean, I know this is much later, but I was thinking about the real ghettos, the Ashkenazi ghettos, and how they had to create their own community, their own government, and help each other out, like the Rothschilds did.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they created their own system. I mean, we've done that historically over and over again. I mean, in Los Angeles, all these exclusive country clubs that we weren't allowed to be a part of, so we created our own, like Hillcrest,
Well, even like Dodger Stadium, that was the site of the Hevra Kadisha. That's where the
Really?
cemetery was. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
that was the first thing there because that was considered to be the outskirts of town. Now it's downtown.
Right, right.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's really something.
Okay, let's do verse 14. Kasher yatsa mibet enimo arom yashuv lalechet kisheba umeuma lo yisav amalo sheyolech biyado. When oh, look at this. Another grave evil is this: he must depart just as he came. That is not in this verse. Well, it is, but it's not at the beginning. Uh, just as he left from the womb of his mother naked, he will return to go where he came, something along those lines. Oh, it
When
does
he
not
comes,
say-
I mean, that's what it says.
Yeah, I don't know why it says another grave evil is this.
It doesn't say that there. In Hebrew, it doesn't say that.
Moved up from verse 15 for clarity. Okay. As he came out of his mother's womb, so must he depart at last, naked as he came. Ume'uma lo yisab omalo sheyolech biyado. He will take nothing.
Nothing.
Nothingness will be carried with his labor, that he will that he will that
Walk holding, maybe? That
yeah,
he will.
he will take, yeah, with it in
Yeah,
his
it's always in
hand.
his hands, but maybe they mean holding.
I mean, bottom line is you're born naked and you die naked. You are, you can't take stuff with you. Even if there is an afterlife, which is, of course, what I'm sure people do with this verse. They talk about it. But the pshat, the simple interpretation, naked you're born and naked you die. And you can't have your stuff. All your toys don't matter.
Right. And this is directly the opposite of the Egyptians, King Tut's tomb filled with.
True. Good point.
Yeah, I don't know what other cultures did do that or did that, burying people with
Think
stuff.
With all your
Incas,
slaves and your wives and
yeah,
dogs
the
and
Incas did it. I think
Right.
Huh.
Some of
maybe kind of common.
Latin American indigenous people.
Interesting.
Mayans. I think Mayans did that.
And we just put books, but we're which I had
We
never
have
known
different
about.
values.
Well, I never knew about that till the I guess it was when or something, yeah. Oh no, it was my friend Malka who was saying that when her parents passed away, they asked would it be okay to bury some books with her parents? Ganesa
interesting.
wise. Yeah.
There is a tradition to bury, Sefer Torah with next to high-level scholars.
What
Tall-
about low-level scholars?
Right?
Little less
What
so.
about us?
Yeah,
little
what
less
about
so.
us chickens?
Little less so.
one of the ones that we walk around with during Simchat Torah, the little ones.
Oh,
I want a Sefer Torah too.
well, I was thinking those little stuffed Torahs that are like stuffed animals.
That's what we're
There
gonna
you
have.
go.
I think of them as the toy raw.
The little
All right.
toyers.
Sorry, teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, we digress, I think is the word
Yeah.
for that.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
V'gamzo ra chola kol uma sheba ken yelech uma yitron lo sheyamol la ruach. This too is a grave evil. Let's go with that. Kol umat sheba ken yelech. All of the people who come? How would you translate that? That's weird. All those who come will go?
As he came, so shall he go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how it is. As when he came, the kind of, yeah, I think as he came,
That's
I think what
interesting.
Irvin said.
It's interesting that umat, which is amami, it's both im and am. And I never thought about the word am and the word im as being kind of linked, but that's kind of what's implied in this very word.
It's kind of like meeting, sort of the way it's used here. Everything that meets, that came and met, also will go away, like
Right.
meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Umat is a meeting. I mean, it's a derivative.
Uma, union. Oh, like binyane ha'uma in Jerusalem. Um, okay. And what is the purpose for it? For it is toiling in the wind or for the wind. Okay. So yeah, so in other words, all of our labors are even limited, right? They don't really change anything. It's like wind. It's something that just comes and goes, just like us. I do think about that sometimes when I perform funerals, when I give a summary of a person's life, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'm telling the shorthand version of 80 years or whatever it is, and like in cosmic time, it's a blink, and that's really hard sometimes to think about. And I think
Yeah.
that's being discussed here. Okay. Gam kol yamav b'choshech yochel v'cha'as harbe v'chol yo
V'chalyo.
katzef. Huh?
And the sick. Yeah, no, you go. Sorry.
V'chol yo v'katzef. Also, of all of his days, in darkness he will eat. I bet this is going to say meaning uncertain. Septuagint reads are spent in darkness and mourning. Interesting. And great vexation. I like that word. But it says kaas, which means anger, but vexation is
Yeah.
good. And being unsettled, a great deal of disturbance, and his illness and anger and like short temper, I think. I don't know.
Mine says sickness also. So it's
Well,
like
cholyo, yeah, the chole is illness.
His
Right, that's
illness.
like the word for hospital, bait, it's like house of sick
Beit
people.
cholim,
Bet
the house of
cholim.
the
Yes,
sick
that's a
ones.
terrible name. House of sick people.
Israelis are not necessarily so subtle.
I was gonna say it's pretty direct. It's a
Yeah.
house where all the sick people go.
So, yeah, this is not necessarily my favorite line of this book. It's kind of sad.
This is pretty challenging.
Yeah. Hine, asher raiti ani. Oh my gosh. Tov asher yafeh l'chol lishtot. Velirot tova. V'chol amaloi sheya'amol tachat Hashem. I'm slaughtering this. Tachat Hashemesh mispar yemei chayav asher natan lo ha'elohim ki hu chelko. Behold, I have seen that. Oh, that behold, that which I have seen is good.
I'm good.
Oh, behold, I have seen that I am good. Ani, no, not necessarily. Tov asher yafeh, good, that which is pretty.
Or like nice to drink and eat.
Yeah, it. Behold, I have seen. I think it's ani raiti asher. Behold, I have seen that it is good. To it is nice, yeah, to eat and to drink and to see good things with all of one's labor, that one will toil under the sun for numerous days of his life, for the number of the days of his life, which God has given him, because that is his portion. So this is sort of his statement of what it is about, is what it feels like, right? Would you agree with that, Avital? And actually
I
everyone.
think so, but I still think that it says, behold, or here, that I've seen that I am good, that is nice to eat and drink and see goodness in all his toils. I kind of think he's being positive for a minute.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I mean. Yes.
he's gone from the doom and gloom basically of overindulging and having too much money, and that's not the way to do it. And now he's saying, behold, he's seen where it's good and comely to just to eat and drink and enjoy yourself for your labors, and be grateful for what God has given you for your
Yeah.
portion.
Right. And it's triggered with this word hine, behold, right? That word is kind of saying, okay, we're going to shift gears here. I'm going to tell you what is good. Just as Irvin just said. Because that's his portion. In other words, it's okay to be a jobnik. Do your job and enjoy what you got.
I mean, it goes back to what you said earlier, who is who is happy or who is rich, that is satisfied with his lot.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that's exactly what this says, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, days of life which God has given him. For that is his portion.
And to
So
see
he can be
goodness
happy.
in his toil.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Two more verses, and they're big verses, and I think I kind of
Oh, it's 6.
it's 6:00. I think we should leave it as a cliffhanger.
At
What
least
do
we
you think of
finished
that?
on a positive note for a minute. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
for a
nice.
change, as George Costanza might say, let's leave on a high note.
Okay, write it down so you know where we're at.
Well,
And that
hopefully
way
it's
you
not
don't
going
have
to be
to.
weeks and weeks before we do this again. I'd like us to do this again next week. So
Well, write it down so you know where we're at. And then that
we
way
got
next
it.
week you'll know to study beforehand and you'll know exactly where we're at.
Thank you, Irvin. I
Works.
appreciate
It's
your
just cheap.
perspective on this.
There you go. It's just just a pointer.
I appreciate
Constructive
that.
things.
And that will be in posterity on this recording on YouTube forever. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Well, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Bye.
shalom.
Bye.